Tonight on Business Live, as Africa gears up for the Commonwealth Business Forum in Rwanda, we explore hotspots for economic growth amid fears of a global recession. Also, the 8th APSA Bank UPSA Law School Quarterly Banking Roundtable takes place tomorrow. And ahead of that, we'll engage the lead coordinator on the topic of monetary policy, central bank leadership, and the stability of the city. Welcome back. Now, we're 5 days away from the first and largest in-person gathering for government and businesses across the Commonwealth. And of course, I'm talking about the Commonwealth Business Forum 2022 in Rwanda. Now, as the global economy grinds to a possible recession amid wide spikes in inflation as the war on Ukraine continues, the forum will address strategies of delivering a common future by connecting, innovating, and transforming with a focus on rebuilding and reinvigorating the global economy. And joining me in studio, thankfully, to discuss is the Rwanda High Commissioner to Ghana, Dr. Isa Kirabu Kachira, as well as the CEO of eTransact, John Appiah. We shall also be joined shortly by CEO of GIPC, Yofi Grant, who will join us virtually. So I want to thank you guys for coming on board, Your Excellency, that of Mr. Appiah. But I want to start off with you, Excellency. I mean, this is massive. I mean, your country hosting it for the very first time, 12 African Commonwealth nations, being part of it. And I think we're expecting 2 more Commonwealth members. That's the information that we're taking at Joy Business. But from you, the host, what should we be expecting from your perspective?
At this time. And let me start off by saying that as High Commissioner of Rwanda, I want to thank the Ghanaian community, the leadership, and our partners, the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council, with whom we've been working together to really encourage and urge Ghanaians, and because I cover Sierra Leone from here, to take advantage of this huge opportunity. This is going to be the first big business, the Commonwealth Business Forum is part of the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting.
Indeed.
And I think what sometimes people get confused with, they think it's like a big governmental, debate. No, the Business Forum is actually a platform specifically for the private sector, as he will elaborate further, because they're the ones that co-organize and really ensure that the business community has space. But it's also a space where the business community engages with senior leaders, heads of government. And I'm delighted that His Excellency President Akufo-Addo with my president are going to be there. So expectations first is like, we've been grappling with a COVID crisis, and nobody needs, I think, to be told about the consequences on our economies, on our livelihoods. Things are tough. Together with that, we are living with climate change and other challenges of security and the impact of the global crisis. So it creates a huge opportunity for people to connect and explore what businesses they can put together in order to be able to take us beyond where we are, to build resilient communities and governments. So I think for me that's a key thing. The second I want to say is that it's the biggest, again, outside of Davos, it's the biggest business to government platform.
Indeed.
So it's a platform where business people will speak to government and maybe explore what we could do better.
Indeed. I want to bring in Mr. Pierre, because as you rightly stated, you represent the private sector and you have, co-organized this particular thing to ensure that the private sector is well versed in the import of this conference. But looking at your strength in the financial sector, I mean, what exactly should Ghanaian fintech companies be expecting out of this in terms of the trickle-down effect out of the B2B meetings? What's going to be the trickle-down effect on the fintech space here in Ghana?
Well, thank you, Joy, for having us here once again. Just to answer your point directly, I think what we will benefit as eTransact is very similar to what any other company in Ghana will benefit. I think it's the benefits cut across all industries. And like Her Excellency said, this is a time for reset, to connect, to innovate, and to transform. Because all countries, including the countries within the Commonwealth, have been besieged by the COVID crisis.
And talk of the war in Ukraine as
and
well.
The war in Ukraine.
And
just when
effect.
everything was starting to rebound, we had the war in Ukraine. We've seen rising prices of pretty much everything. I think the importance for organizations like myself, as well as other private sector businesses, is to see how we can connect with one another and use the convening power and the strength of the Commonwealth to grow our businesses, so that we are not relying on any external forces which affect our prices. So I'm in the fintech industry as CEO of eTransact, but whether you're in the health industry, you're in environment, whatever industry you find yourself, this is a convergence of some of the top CEOs and leaders across Africa and the world. And we have to tap into this networking opportunity to see how we grow our businesses.
And speaking of tapping into the opportunity, we know that one space that is ripe for the taking is investment, intra-African investment. Thankfully, we have Yofi Grant joining us virtually. He's the Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. Mr. Grant, we're grateful that you could join us. In all of this, attracting investment to the continent amid prevailing economic constraints will be a task that investment promotion bodies like GIPC must achieve. I want to find out from you, what strategic messaging do you have up your sleeve ahead of the forum?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to you all. I think that there's a bigger issue for us under the AFCFTA than just attracting investment to the continent. Because one of the most important things that we need to facilitate and drive is intracontinental investment. I mean, we do recognize that there's been a dearth of capital formation on the continent in the past few decades, but there's a change on the continent, and there are over 400, I think, companies that are earning over $1 billion revenue a year, who are also creating new opportunities across the continent. And for us as an investment promotion agency, the issue is facilitating investment for trade, so that we can trade amongst ourselves. Well, and you obviously realize that this is a Commonwealth conference, and we believe that the whole Commonwealth, which used to be more or less a political body, can now become a major opportunity and avenue for trade and investment. And we should traverse the whole thing about the politics into trade and business. Indeed, most of the African countries in the Commonwealth are ready and set to change the narrative of the African situation and bring about wealth creation on the continent for our young people. But the most important thing is that we must own this process and we must take advantage of it. And it's a delight that is taking place in Rwanda, with Ghana playing a significant role. And I would definitely urge our private sector players to be in there, because that's a good opportunity to find partnerships that can inure to our mutual benefit on the continent and by the continent. And of course, all the other partners who may come may then also talk to us about what opportunities the continent presents. And they are immense. They are immense. I keep saying that 2020 ushered in Africa's decade. Africa is the continent probably most imbued with natural resources and human capital. And this is a time where we must take advantage of these opportunities to grow the continent, add value to our resources, and then grow the continent and create opportunity for young people. There can't be a better opportunity than this.
Great. Mr. Grant, we know that partnerships of some sort are going to be established, business agreements between Ghana, Rwanda, and even within the African Commonwealth, to be specific. But which specific areas do you feel that, investment partners will thrive for the Ghana picture?
Indeed. I mean, you ask a very interesting question, because the continent itself is rife with opportunity. The opportunities for us to work together to increase our infrastructure and close the gap between the continent and other places. Technology is very important. Now, we don't even own our own data. When you want to know something about anybody, you go to Google. When you could have, if we could have found our own access and own our own data. So technology is important, but most prevailing is that we have to industrialize the continent, because we are resource rich. I mean, the continent is resource rich. Name it. And the most important resources that the world requires for Industry 4.0, what we call Web 3.0, are in abundance on the continent. Cobalt, coltan, lithium, and I'm sure Ghana recently is investigating the possibility of becoming one of the largest lithium exporters once we are able to prove our resources and with Ghanaian partnership and ownership export. But not just export, but also to add value on the continent.
Mr. Grant, we're grateful that I could join. We're grateful that you could join us with your insights on this. Mr. Grant, the CEO of GIPC. Your Excellency, you heard, the CEO there. He expressed himself better. But coming back to Rwanda, the smart city of Africa, they so term it. Your country was able to grow by 11% in 2020. I mean, the highest in the average of Africa. And getting to look at the monetary and social models, the question, therefore, is that what kind of best practices do you think that we must abide by as a continent to ensure growth and prosperity post-COVID and even as we experience in the Ukraine war currently?
Well, thank you very much. I think that's a very profound question. What we say and where we've always begun as Rwanda is unity. And governance, and good governance is such a very key founding factor, which we see the Commonwealth Business Forum and the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting provides. Just like my brother CEO Yofi has very eloquently elaborated, Africa is not devoid of opportunities, but are we united? Do we sit together, connect, discuss, and prioritize? So that's what this is. We trust that is going to create an opportunity for business people, government leaders to sit together and see, okay, for whatever we've gone through, here we are. What do we see as our biggest opportunities? How do we tap into them? How do we use the new technologies and innovations that people have developed in the last very many years? And how do we give platform to especially the young people, in women, to be as inclusive as possible in that overall thinking? Then once that is decided, financing is not a problem. I think it's really garnering the right people on the table, getting the ideas, challenging ourselves, and moving on. The rest would really be doable. So in that sense, I really want to say with all humility, Rwanda, I think, was the right place for us to have a meeting such as this, especially after COVID, because we went to the deepest of like situations, but we've made some modest progress. Indeed. So we are really ready to share with you. And I want to say that on that note, we'll also make it as fun as it won't only be work. So you will enjoy our couch expertise. And also, we've made it as affordable as possible. Rwanda has cut down on its prices by over 15%. Wow. So you can please, you're welcome, and it's a direct flight. And also, together with that, the COVID situation, as you may know, Kigali, over 95% people are vaccinated. You only need a rapid test from here. You don't need to test again when you're coming back. You don't need any more to fill in locator forms. So we're going to make it as easy as possible. But
even if you have the COVID vaccine card, you still need to test before you could get to Rwanda?
Yes, you need a rapid test, at least. You don't need a PCR, but you still need a rapid test, at least 72 hours before. That's all. When you get there, you don't need a mask, but you can take it if you feel you need to.
Great. We're grateful, Your Excellency. Mr. Pierre, your final words.
I'll just love to invite everyone. I'm looking forward to going to Rwanda. I'm going this weekend. I think I'm going to have a blast. And so I'd like to give some numbers that people can call to have some inquiries about how to come to Rwanda and support us. 059-2293-705. That is 059-2293-705 or 0244-896-718. That's 0244-896-718.
We're grateful, Mr. Pierre, that you could join us. We're also grateful to the Rwanda High Commissioner to Ghana, Dr. Isa Kirabo Kachira. I hope I got the pronunciation right.
You must be Rwandan.
And of course, CEO of eTransact, as always, for joining us, have a discussion. And to GIPC CEO Yofi Grant on the Commonwealth Business Forum, which is coming up in the next 5 days. Please make sure that you be a part of this. But away from that, the 8th APSA UPSA Law School Quarterly Banking Roundtable comes off tomorrow, the 16th of June, and the event, which is on the topic monetary policy, central bank leadership and stability of the city, will have prominent speakers such as the Professor Peter Korte of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research and the Head of Research of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Philip Abredu-Otu, as some of the key speakers. Joining us to discuss is the lead coordinator of the event, Gertrude Amoko Ama. We're grateful, Gertrude, that you could join us. First of all, what should be the highlight of tomorrow's event?
Well, good evening, and thank you very much for having me. I'd want to begin by saying that for the past 2 years or so, the APSA UPSA Law School Quarterly Banking Roundtable has been the #1 platform for discussion on core issues affecting the banking industry. And like you rightly mentioned, tomorrow's discussion will be the 8th in the series. Yes, tomorrow's discussion is on the topic monetary policy, central bank leadership, and the stability of the cedi. It promises to be quite an interesting discussion, but for me, what I look forward to being the highlight of the discussion will be the views that our panel members will be sharing with our audience on how best the Ghana cedi, the interventions that the central bank can take in stabilizing the Ghana cedi. I mean, you'd agree with me that the first quarter of 2022 has been a very difficult one for the Ghana cedi. It has experienced severe shock waves, as a result of which the economy has also suffered greatly. It's obvious the Bank of Ghana has put in place certain interventions to try to stabilize cedi, but there's a need for us to evaluate the effectiveness or otherwise of these interventions put in place. So the expert panel that we have put together will be doing exactly this, sharing their thoughts on the effectiveness or otherwise of these measures, among other matters.
We're grateful and we're looking forward to seeing how that pans out. That's lead coordinator of APSA Bank UPSA Law School Quarterly Banking Roundtable event. They're interacting with us on what we should be expecting. You're still watching Business Live. And that'll be it for Business Live. I'm Charles Aite. Many thanks for watching.